If you're in the market for a new compact family SUV, the original Volkswagen Tiguan simply wasn't the go-to choice, especially next to more well-established Japanese rivals. I mean, if you look at the history, Volkswagen was around 10 years late to the party when they introduced this model to America back in 2008, and it also had a lot less interior space. The company addressed that fault with the all-new second generation around 2017, but they also alienated the driving enthusiast customer because the vehicle was heavier, had less power underneath the hood, and also just felt a lot less sporty to drive. Well, when Volkswagen introduced the all-new third generation, it very much became the Goldilocks model because it combined the interior space of the old model while also bringing back the more upscale, sporty driving experience of the first generation, especially when you guys looked at the interior, which really fooled you into thinking you bought an Audi at Volkswagen prices. Well, as you can see this week, we are testing out the latest model, a 2026 Tiguan SEL R-Line Turbo. And the big story this year is it got a big upgrade underneath the hood, courtesy of a massage version of the corporate 2-liter turbo, now making nearly 270 horsepower, making this vehicle here the most powerful production gas-powered model in the compact mainstream SUV space. So the big question I went and answered with this all-new Tiguan SEL R-Line Turbo, has Volkswagen established a new benchmark in this compact family SUV space? Stay tuned to find out. Now, because the big story for 2026 is the addition of more power underneath the hood, I thought I'd first start off by talking about what's going on when you lift the hood, because here in America, Volkswagen offers a choice of two different powertrain options. This, of course, has the more powerful option. It's the company's latest 2-liter EA888 turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder. And as you can see underneath the hood, you find a transverse mounted 4-cylinder engine. That's because this continues to ride on the MQB Evo architecture, the same platform that also underpins the latest Volkswagen GTI. And compared to the engine that we tested last year, which made only 201 horsepower, Volkswagen has turned up the wick here to produce 268 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That's an increase of 67 ponies versus the base powertrain. And this makes this vehicle have more horsepower than a Volkswagen GTI and the same horsepower as its upscale, I guess not even cousin really, because it's a different platform, the Audi Q5, which technically the Audi has nearly 40 more foot-pounds of torque, but still this is certainly no slouch. It finally gives the Tiguan the legs it needs to be taken seriously with more enthusiastic drivers. It all goes out through an 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission. With this trim coming standard with the company's 4Motion all-wheel drive system, you can get front-wheel drive on one of the lower trims of the Tiguan. 4Motion all-wheel drive is an extra $1,500 on basically the S and the SE and SE R-Line Black trim levels. Now, fuel economy for this engine is rated at 22 in the city and 29 on the highway. That's practically the same as the less powerful version. And with its 15.6-gallon fuel tank, you're looking at just under 400 miles of range on a full tank. And the beauty about this powertrain is even though it makes more power, it's still designed to make that power on regular grade gas. Now, Volkswagen says they got more power courtesy of a enlarged turbocharger, which delivers around 24 pounds of max boost pressure, which is actually less boost versus the smaller turbos, or the smaller, less powerful engine. Technically not smaller, it's just a smaller turbo. In terms of the 0 to 60 time, the last one that we tested did it in 6.9 seconds. We'll try it out when we get this vehicle out on the road. Towing capacity is rated at 1,800 pounds, and as this car sits, it weighs in at just over 4,000 pounds, around 100 pounds heavier versus the less powerful version of this car. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling, because as you can see, when this generation first came out, I was actually a really big fan of the exterior design. It very much reminds me of something like the old Volkswagen Touareg, but there also are some styling details here that will remind you of other models in the Volkswagen family. You can see this model that I'm showing you is painted in avocado green. It was a new color last year. It's an extra $495. And it pairs nicely with the upgraded headlights. You can see these are the adaptive swiveling IQ light technology, which have an LED daytime running light, LED turn signal, LED low and high beams. You can see it also includes an LED light bar with an illuminated Volkswagen logo in the front and in the rear. This trim level is the only trim to get the illuminated logos, and it certainly makes this car look a lot more premium, especially at night. There's a R badge there to let you know this is the sportier looking model. The non-R versions of the Tiguan will also have a different front fascia. You can see the front bumper in general has a lot of functional openings. You can actually see the exposed intercooler for this model, along with a lot of gloss black and some silver trim at the lower fascia. It also includes a front camera system. This is the only trim to get the front 360 camera, along with integrated parking sensors. And overall, this SUV definitely looks handsome to me, but at the same time, it reminds me a little bit of the Volkswagen ID4, which to me, I don't always love the way the ID4 looks, but here on the Tiguan, I appreciate the boxy upright design and the very intricate looking LED lighting. I kind of think that the big gloss black at the front is a little bit too much at times, but it also depends on the certain colors that you get. Now moving around the side profile, you can see Volkswagen actually made this new generation Tiguan a little smaller than the old model with a 109.9 inch wheelbase and a 184.8 inch overall length. It's around an inch shorter than the predecessor, but it's also around 73.5 inches wide. So it's pretty much a well-proportioned vehicle, about the same size as something like the Honda CR-V. Now, this is where I was hoping Volkswagen would have given this model an upgraded wheel or a different wheel design versus last year, but this is basically the same 20-inch alloy wheel that's exclusive to this particular trim. It's got kind of like a two-tone gloss black and machine outer lip with a directional spoke. The brake rotors measure 13.4 inches, clamped down by a twin piston caliper, it looks like, with an all-independent suspension. Volkswagen says you have around 7.2 inches of ground clearance. The rear brakes on this model here are a little bit larger at 12.2 inches, but what I would have liked to see is Volkswagen actually increase the size of the brakes and give this car a painted caliper, basically brakes from the GTI. But again, this is not technically a Tiguan GTI, it's just a Tiguan Turbo. This trim also includes gloss black along the wheel arch trim, a body-colored side sill of course, and then you get this R badge here right underneath the side view mirror. But I also think this car could have been lowered a little bit more. Again, this is not a Tiguan GTI, it's just a Tiguan R-Line. You can see the mirrors are black painted, they're power folding with integrated turn signals and cameras. My test car for an extra $400 also has the black painted roof. A panoramic sunroof is standard on this trim and the SE R-Line Black. It's a $1,200 option on just the SE trim. You also have this kind of silver low profile roof rail, and I love how the rear windows also roll down all the way, which is not something that a lot of vehicles in the class do. As I back away from the car, you can see the profile very much looks boxy and upright, but it also looks a little short and stubby. I'm actually surprised that it has such a short rear overhang, especially when you compare it to the previous generation. But I think it's a well-proportioned vehicle. It looks better to me from the rear versus the front of the vehicle. And then when you come back here, you can see it has some really nice looking taillights, full LED, as you can see, with this really unique light signature, which looks really unique when you go for this trim because of the illuminated Volkswagen logo. It's got the typical chrome badging here, and your only indication that this is the 2026 model is basically that turbo badge there that's next to the SEL. The 2025 model did not have that. I would have liked to see Volkswagen put like an exposed dual outlet exhaust on this vehicle to go with the sportier, more powerful engine. And then I also really don't like this kind of like gloss black air intake or air escape diffuser back here that is fake. It's just there for looks. I find this to be kind of annoying and difficult to clean. I would have preferred if Volkswagen just cut it off here and made this part the smooth part of the rear bumper. But in general, it's a clean design. You also have an integrated rear spoiler with your third brake light. The rear window wiper would have been better tucked underneath there. And then there's no digital camera rearview mirror available on this car. Now, looking at the cargo area, you can see a power liftgate that's hands-free is included. And Volkswagen actually readjusted their measurements for 2026 for the cargo space. You have just under 34 cubic feet of storage space back here. There's no more third row available on this generation. If you look underneath the floor, you can see you do get a temporary spare with some additional underfloor storage, which is nice. If you want to fold down the seats, you can do so by pulling on these release levers, and that will expand the cargo to 69 cubic feet of space. So that's just under 70 cubic feet. Actually makes this pretty competitive, but it does have around 5 cubic feet less versus some of its more, I guess, mainstream rivals or well-known rivals. It also has a little bit less cargo space versus the previous generation, which is okay because this car, I think, is more well-proportioned on the outside. Now moving on to the interior of the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. As you can see, this is Volkswagen's current intelligent access key, which is standard on every version of the Tiguan. You can see the key itself actually has a nice heft to it. I just don't love all the shiny piano black plastic. This trim also adds remote start. I believe you get that when you guys go for the R-Line trims and up, but you can see you also get the lock, unlock, power liftgate, remote start, and a panic function. In general, the key definitely has a nice heft to it and high quality feel. As you approach the door handle, you can see it's a traditional pull style door handle. If you touch this area there, you can see the doors will lock. The mirrors will also electrically fold in. Volkswagen does offer an auto walkaway lock and unlock feature which you can turn on and off. If you touch the back of the door handle, that will unlock the door for you. Now, my particular test car has a really wonderful color combination with the avocado green and the amber brown Verena premium leather interior. As you can see, these premium leather seats are only included when you go for the SEL R-Line trim. I love how you have the kind of quilted diamond stitch leather with the contrast stitching and piping. These seats also adjust in 12 different ways for both front seats, and you also have a 3-person memory for the driver and the passenger side, along with getting a 10-point massage for the backrest on both front seats. Again, this feature is only included when you guys go for this trim, but it's actually a better massage versus what you're gonna find in even something like the Audi Q5. And you can't even get a massaging seat on the base Q5, which is shocking because this is a Volkswagen. Again, it takes you back to a time where Volkswagens very much felt like budget Audis. Now, looking at the door panel, you can see there's a soft touch injection molded plastic with some faux stitching there. You have this kind of piano black plastic trim with some really nice ambient lighting, with 30 different colors to adjust it. You have a silver painted plastic door handle, that same Verena premium brown leather here and here where you'd rest your elbows. The window controls have a one-touch up-down for all 4. They also have a high quality feel to them. It is hard touch plastic down here, but it also provides a little bit more additional door pocket storage. And then this is the only trim that gives you the 12-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system. So if you guys are an audiophile, again, you want to go for this trim to get all the bells and whistles. The R-Line trims will also give you the aluminum pedals as well, which definitely gives it a more sportier vibe. Now, getting inside the new Tiguan with its 7 inches of ground clearance, you have a nice easy step-in height. As I shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on the MQB Evo architecture. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see the start-stop button is actually a square button here next to this rotary dial. Push that, you can hear this is not a hybrid or a mild hybrid, so it has a very traditional starter noise. And if you guys really like tech, the new Tiguan throws that in for you even when you guys go for the base trim. Now, first of all, the engine doesn't really sound like much from the inside. In fact, it has a very low 3,500 RPM rev limiter, so there's really no distinction in the sound between this higher output engine versus the standard output. But what you do notice once you get inside this interior is just a big wall of screen here. Although it's not quite as annoying or weird looking as the new Audi system here, this is the only trim to give you the big 15-inch touchscreen here. This has their 4th generation MIB interface here with the software. It has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have a 10.25-inch driver LCD display. That's standard equipment on all trims of the Tiguan. You can see this trim also includes a manual tilt telescoping wheel, which is standard technically, but I do love this steering wheel, which appears to be lifted out of a Volkswagen GTI. It has a nice flat bottom design, very thick rim as well, with this nice perforated leather where you have the 9-3 grip. The wheel itself also offers 3 different levels of heat. Volkswagen added paddle shifters this year. It's got this beautiful chrome Volkswagen emblem here and actual hard buttons to control what that screen looks like, to control your driver assistance features, your audio information. It's a really nice steering wheel, one of the best feeling steering wheels that I've tested in this segment. This is also the only trim that gives you a heads-up display. Again, a premium touch that you don't typically find in this space. And the other premium touch you're gonna find is beautiful, real walnut trim on this cabin. I mean, you can't even get real wood on some luxury brands, and the fact that Volkswagen throws it in on this trim is really impressive. It also has a nice low gloss feel. It's very, very high quality. It feels like real wood, and you can see the upper dash has that same soft touch injection molded plastic, more of that Verena leather down here with the contrast stitch. It is hard touch plastic down here, but I love the fact that, you know, you have traditional air vents, you have pretty good storage as well with big cup holders, more storage over here. And then you can see, while there isn't actually a rotary dial here, this is actually a slider to control the audio and the climate controls. These are finally now illuminated, and there's also a dial here when you want to adjust the volume controls. And what's also great is this experience dial, if you push down, also doubles as the drive mode selector, where you can adjust to several different drive modes. It looks like a total of 7 different drive modes. And if you swipe over to the right, you can actually change the atmosphere in here, or you can actually change the ambient lighting, the lighting for the actual instrument cluster, the audio information as well. This is all very unexpected stuff, and I love the fact that this dial has a touchscreen actually on the screen itself for the dial, which is very, very impressive looking. And again, it finally has a volume knob here, so you can't complain and have how it has a touch dial here. Volkswagen gave us a dial here, a rotary dial, to actually control the volume information, so it's a physical control. You have electronic parking brake here, and you have additional storage over here with your wireless phone charging pad, and you have 2 USB-C charging ports. In general, the screen itself is very quick and snappy and easy to use. And you can quickly access, different functions in here. You can see your massaging seat. There's like a total of, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of massage. And the massage function works extremely well. It's one of the best massages that I've tested. The back activation is my favorite. And unlike Genesis, you have a massage for the passenger seat as well, which is very unexpected. You can see your ambient lighting. You can adjust from here, which is also linked to the atmosphere modes as well. Going over here, you can see there's some quick access controls over here to adjust your trip, your driving modes again. Your start, stop, defeat is located here in the screen if you want to turn that off. And then this goes back to all your different dials and whatnot. So once you kind of get used to this system, it is very touch heavy, but at the same time, it's very quick, it's very snappy, it's easy to use. When I want to put the vehicle into drive, the transmission selector is here as a stock on the right side. Click it back toward me, it goes into reverse. You can see there's your full 360 camera with trajectory, parking sensors, automatic cross-traffic braking. This is the only trim to give you the full 360 camera. Push this forward to go into drive, of course, there's your front camera, and then push the end here to go into P. So this frees up space over here. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you kind of get used to it, it certainly works extremely well. There's also, it looks like an off-road page here, which I believe doesn't actually do much in terms of the software, adjust the traction control, but you can adjust your stability control offsetting over here and then go to some different displays, which is kind of cool, but you're not going to be taking a vehicle like this off-roading, especially when you have 20-inch wheels on it. The center console you can see is nice and padded. Open that up, you can see there's also additional storage. This comes out as well to create a bigger storage area, which is nice. I do wish that there was a lid that closed here and closed here, but you do have some nice leather along the side here to kind of help if your knees bump against this, so that's a nice touch. The seats are covered in this beautiful soft leather. They're comfortable and supportive, yet they also still hold you in place pretty nicely, so I'm impressed by that. And then you can see the glove box. Open that up, it's a bin style, it's damped but not lined with felt. It offers additional storage, so that's great. And in terms of the audio, I mentioned the Harman Kardon sounds pretty decent. If you guys are an audiophile, you're gonna wanna go for this trim level. Obviously, it doesn't have much in terms of bass, so there's not much of a punch, but it definitely is an improvement over the bass sound system. And then the ambient lighting also has some ambient lighting here, and in the footwells, so it kind of creates that premium ambience that a lot of people are expecting nowadays. You have an auto-dimming rearview mirror here, no digital camera rearview mirror, but there also is still LED map lighting. And you also have a big panoramic sunroof that also opens up via this touch slider here. You can see it tilts, and it also opens up completely to vent air only just over the 2 front seat areas. There's also a built-in wind deflector here, but that's actually the largest that it opens. It's a fairly large opening in general. So overall, the interior of the new Tiguan definitely for me is best in class, especially if you guys like technology, you like luxury, you like features. You also have good visibility with its big windows. So in general, I think Volkswagen has knocked it out of the park with the interior, and I find very little complaints aside from just some lids that would cover up these like storage areas in the center console. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat and I can show you guys what that space is like. The beauty about the Tiguan is Volkswagen has preserved one of the biggest back seats in the class. First of all, as you can see, the door opens nice and wide. It has a big opening to get into the back seat if you want to put a car seat back here. That's fantastic. Sadly, however, the seats, they don't recline. They just fold down to create a flat load floor. Some competitors offer a recline function, and some competitors offer the seats that slide forward and back. The old Tiguan did. This one, of course, doesn't do that because it doesn't have a third row anymore. Sadly, the material quality is downgraded back here with hard touch plastic, but you still have leather here, silver painted plastic door handle, and big storage compartments, along with another storage cubby over there to the side. And then once you get back here, you can see plenty of space and pretty good headroom as well. And once you're back here, you'll be treated to around 40.4 inches of legroom. 40.4 is among the best in the segment. I mean, this is my driving position. I can easily stretch out, plenty of foot space. I can easily cross my legs and get comfortable. Surprisingly, no flat floor here, but there is that drive shaft for the all-wheel drive system. You do have rear seat air vents, 3-zone climate control. That's a feature that competitors really don't offer. You have also heated seats back here as well, although for some reason it's not turning on when I tap it. It must have a lockout feature. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, of course. And really the only thing that's missing are retractable shades. You can find that in some of its competitors, but you do have an armrest here that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. And even though it's got that Pano sunroof, I have maybe a solid 2 inches of additional clearance. So kind of keep that in mind. This does take up your headroom space a little bit, but with best in class, leg room, foot space, this big opening and big windows as well, along with plenty of features. This is a car that you can easily use for your family and put some taller friends or family members in the backseat area. So I was a big fan of the all-new third generation Tiguan when it was first revealed around a year and a half ago, and I was very, very surprised when Volkswagen actually introduced pretty much almost just a couple months later a turbo version, which I know the name is a little silly because all of them are turbo, but this is the model that enthusiasts are basically going to want to trade in their GTI for, especially if you realize the GTI is just a little too small for you and your family. This is going to have the extra legroom, the extra trunk space, and it also has more power than a GTI, making 268 horsepower. This is definitely the kind of power that enthusiasts were looking for with its 258 foot-pounds of torque, nearly 70 more horsepower, hooked up to an 8-speed automatic with 4-motion all-wheel drive as standard. Now, sadly, this doesn't get the dual clutch transmission from a GTI, which means there is no launch control. In fact, the last Tiguan that I tested on our usual stretch here did it in around 8.39 seconds, so 8.4 seconds. Let's go ahead and see what we can get here on our usual stretch now that we have the vehicle back home. To get the best time, you basically want to have it in its sport mode. Have it in sport mode for the transmission as well. I also turn the stability control or traction control off, and we'll go ahead and we'll brake torque it. Feels pretty quick. Shifts nice and smoothly too. And we got 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. 6.5 seconds is actually pretty impressive. I actually have the race box attached up here. I'll show you guys there, 6.5, which is very, very shockingly good. I'm actually really impressed with that number because the one that I tested in Detroit did it in around 6.9 seconds. So that time makes this vehicle among the quickest you're gonna find in the segment. Now, of course, a quicker vehicle would be the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid, but that's cheating because it's a plug-in hybrid. But this is now finally a time that enthusiasts can be proud of because Tiguans have always been a little bit slower than its competitors, and it makes this car nearly 2 seconds faster 0 to 60 wise. Let's try another run here on a slightly more uphill road. 6.9 seconds there. That's with it more slightly uphill, but still, that time, basically, if you're gonna drive this vehicle without brake torquing it like I do, you're gonna get a sub 7-second 0 to 60 run, which is around 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds faster than the base powertrain in this vehicle. So that's a pretty significant jump in performance, and I think a lot of people are going to be quite pleased with that power figure. Now, could Volkswagen make this car even faster? Sure. If they gave this thing the 7-speed dual clutch from the GTI and gave it launch control, it could probably do easily a sub 6-second run, or maybe even a lower or a mid 5-second run if you got the situation right. But still, this power figure is nice. Now, in terms of the handling dynamics, sadly, Volkswagen didn't really adjust or make any upgrades to the suspension or steering, but the Tiguan was already one of the more sportier vehicles in the segment. The company really focused hard on driving dynamics for this third generation model, and it shows. The vehicle's steering is quick and responsive. The suspension is more tuned toward comfort, but at the same time, it's still, feels like it's more playful than your average compact car, yet the ride quality is comfortable and very, very, compliant, even though we're on these big 20-inch wheels. 255 width tires also give this vehicle a little bit more grip than its competitors would suggest or would compare to. The brakes also 13.4-inch rotors and 12.2, slightly bigger rotors on this model here. The brake pedal feels reassuringly good. Good feel, good feedback, but again, this isn't like a performance vehicle. You're not going to notice the brakes are like, the brakes you'd find on a GTI. But when you put your foot down here, not much in terms of torque vectoring, but what you get is a very smooth and linear power buildup. This is a turbo engine that feels like it has plenty of torque down low, and it always basically gives you the power that you're looking for. And at the same time, the engine is smooth and refined. It likes to rev. It will rev all the way up to around 6,300 RPM. Remember, this engine has strengthened internals. It's got a larger turbo that actually puts out a little bit less boost versus the smaller turbo that's in the base 2-liter, around 24 pounds of boost pressure. And at the same time, when you drive the vehicle in normal, I'm gonna actually switch the drive mode here. I'll take it from sport to comfort. The transmission is very smooth. It could shift a little faster, but what's nice about this transmission is the fact that it actually does give you paddle shifters. That's something that the base powertrain doesn't give you, is paddle shifters, but most of the times you just put your foot down here and it does a really good job of just shifting on its own accord. And then if you want to pull the paddles, you can see, won't let me go into second or first there, but they're a little slow to respond. But when you when you pull the left paddle to go to a downshift, it does a pretty good job at rev matching. It's just sometimes when I pull it to upshift, it's a little too slow for my taste. But at the same time, you know, what'd you expect? This is not a GTI SUV. It's a family SUV that has more GTI levels of performance. And the 4-cylinder has that typical 4-cylinder drone to it, so it's nothing super like special sounding. In fact, a more rambunctious exhaust system would have been really nice, but hey, Volkswagen doesn't call this thing a GTI Tiguan, they just call it a Tiguan Turbo. And it will upshift automatically for you even when you're in manual mode, so kind of keep that in mind. But we'll go ahead and we'll take the drive mode out of sport here. We'll just go to comfort and we'll just drive this thing normally, because that's what the Tiguans are made for. They're designed to be cruisers, they're designed to be daily drivers, they're designed to be excellent on the highway. And this is where the car is quiet, it's refined, it feels really well made. Not a single squeak and rattle in this interior. I'm sitting in here getting a massage. It's one of the best massages you're gonna find in any car, regardless of this being, you know, a mainstream brand. This massage feature is actually better than the massage that I find in some of the newest Audi products, which is embarrassing. It shouldn't be that way. Visibility also is very good. I can see out of the front, the side, and the rear easily. There's no digital camera review mirror, sadly, for this vehicle, but that's okay because the visibility and sight lines are good. Even in comfort mode there, the transmission does a great job at just downshifting when I put my foot down just ever so slightly. The seats, this Vernesca leather also feels very plush. I love this color combination with the brown and the avocado green. The infotainment system, one of the biggest displays in the segment. You can see the wireless CarPlay there is connected. It's huge. It's got these amazingly big icons that are easy to see, easy to read, and the entire software and layout's been redesigned. This is one of the best infotainment systems, even though it's lacking some physical hard buttons that I would prefer. At least the touch sliders are now illuminated. They're responsive, they work so well. The driver assistance tech in this car also works pretty good. It has traffic jam assist, adaptive cruise control. And then in terms of the fuel efficiency, in my week's worth of testing, I averaged around 26 mpg in mixed driving. On the highway, I got it up to around 29 mpg. So pretty much bang on with what the EPA's numbers are. And you don't even have to put premium in this car. This up-level turbo engine still runs on regular fuel, which is excellent. And with its 15.5-gallon fuel tank, theoretically you could do around just under 400 miles of range. I did around 360 in my week's worth of testing. So is there room for improvement there? Yes, but Volkswagen has confirmed a hybrid model is coming, and I'm very much looking forward to driving the hybrid. But in general, I think what this Tiguan Turbo delivers is a reset. It's definitely, for me, the benchmark in terms of the compact family SUV segment. It still lacks a hybrid, but I think once that hybrid option comes into play, I will easily recommend this over a RAV4. The only thing you have to keep in mind is for this additional power, luxury, and tech, you do have to pay a little bit more this year, but it's still a very agreeable price compared to its rivals. So after spending a full week with the most powerful version of the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan, I have to say, when I first had a chance to drive this vehicle earlier this year, I was simply blown away by the amount of technology, luxury, and features that Volkswagen offers, especially at the price point. Because as you guys know, the current Tiguan is basically the company's best-selling model here in the States, with Volkswagen moving just under 95,000 units. And I think with this, the addition of this model and the new generation in general, as Volkswagen ramps up production, I wouldn't be surprised to see the company eventually double those sales, because this truly is a car that's going to shock you, especially when you look at the price that you paid. Because as you guys saw, the new turbo engine finally delivers the extra performance that I was wanting. That was my biggest complaint with the 2025 model, but we got a 0 to 60 time of 6.5 seconds, nearly 2 seconds faster versus the base engine. which is a pretty significant jump. I know not a lot of people in this segment are looking for speed, but if you want the additional power to basically carry more people in the car to go on those longer road trips, you're gonna wanna go for this engine because it comes with no penalty in terms of fuel efficiency. It's also got pretty decent numbers here at around 26 miles per gallon combined, a little under 30 mpg on the highway, which whenever Volkswagen comes out with a hybrid version, especially if they pair it with this turbo engine, it's going to basically make this car even more appealing in general. The interior also has the luxury touches that would fool you into thinking you bought an Audi, with its super supple leather seats with the massage function. The massage is literally one of the best massage seats that I've tested in any modern day car, even some of the really expensive luxury brands. The backseat also offers near best-in-class space, and while the cargo area is a little bit smaller, it's still going to be very practical for most people. The ride quality is also good, while also preserving that sportier driving dynamics. Volkswagen has basically struck a nice balance here between sporty handling and comfortable ride, quiet interior, smooth powertrain, lots of power as well for the segment. I mean, really, you need a RAV4 plug-in hybrid to keep up or smoke this vehicle. And that's a great thing because the GTI has always been a really excellent hot hatch. And when you need more space, you can easily move into this vehicle. I also even find this car even more appealing versus the Audi Q5. Even though the Audi is going to be a little bit faster thanks to its dual clutch and extra torque, this should be plenty of power for most, and it also has a nice interior that honestly looks like you could put an Audi badge on the steering wheel. Now, in terms of cons, there are very little to see, or that I see here. I mean, I would have liked to see Volkswagen go all in and make this thing more like a Tiguan GTI, but that's also something they could do. There is a Tiguan R that they offered in other markets that had the Golf R's powertrain. I would love to see Volkswagen do that. This car is begging for an even more higher performance enthusiast version, but I think this definitely is going to strike a nice middle ground for somebody who has a GTI, but needs a little bit more space for your family. Now, in terms of availability and pricing, the 2026 Tiguan has been on sale for a couple of months now, and Volkswagen has pretty much kept the pricing in check. You can get into a base SE with front-wheel drive for just over $30,000. Most people, however, are going to add all-wheel drive for $1,500 extra and then step it up to the SE trim that gives you features like the power liftgate, the leatherette seats, of course, the upgraded interior trim finishes, and the 19-inch wheels, and you can also get the option of a panoramic sunroof. This fully loaded SEL R-Line Turbo, however, is going to cost you at least $43,000. It's basically around $5,000 more versus the SE R-Line model, which again has less power and also a lot less features, but you do get the features like the bigger 15-inch display, the Harman Kardon stereo, the massaging seats, the upgraded leather. It's a lot of car for the money. Add in the destination and this color upcharge two-tone, and you're looking at an as-tested price of around $45,410, which sounds like a lot of money, I know, but keep in mind, other rivals in this class also are around $45,000. Some are also a little over that, around $47,000 for like the new RAV4, for example. And no other competitor offers a screen that's this intuitive, that's this large, that also has the seats that are very comfortable with the massage function and the power that this thing gives you with its traditional drivetrain. So in general, if it were my money, if I was looking in this class, I would personally put one of these at the very top of my list. And once Volkswagen introduces a hybrid, it's honestly going to be game over for a lot of its rivals, although I also haven't spent a full week with the new RAV4. This for me is definitely setting the new benchmark in the compact mainstream family SUV space. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my very detailed overview on the brand new 2026 Volkswagen Tiguan. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.